Hello everyone, Harry Baldock here, editor at Total Telecom. Today it's my pleasure to be joined by Geoff Buddington, Global Account Director at CommScope. How are you today, Geoff?
Good morning, I'm very well, thank you.
Great, it's great to have you with me. Today we're going to talk about network planning and the value of network planning tools. So kind of my first question for you, Geoff, is how do you view the UK market right now, and where does CommScope fit into that kind of ecosystem?
Yeah, thanks very much. So the UK market, I'm finding it extremely interesting at the moment. So personally, I've been involved with fibre optic telecoms for the last 25 years. And back in the late 90s when we saw the boom, we saw a similar kind of approach to the UK market growth in fibre. It was very much around getting it out there, driving the investors' money to build networks. And there was a lot of new technology around in the 90s that wasn't particularly understood in the full deployment depth. And now we come to 2020, and it's remarkably, we're seeing a similar kind of approach. Technology has marched forward at a huge pace since then. New products are available, new transmission speeds and platforms are available, which gives then the planners and the architects new challenges to try and deliver those efficiently. So where we're seeing the market as of today, looking back at history, very similar. A lot of drive, a lot of investment, and a huge need to deliver networks in a very fast, scalable manner, which does bring its challenges, which again, not too dissimilar to back in the 90s, but I think on a new scale that we see today.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the scale of it, because particularly with the current situation with the coronavirus and things like that, the speed and the scale of these networks being developed, it's kind of brought it all into relief with connectivity really taking center stage. What exactly are the CommScope planning tools, and how do they fit into to the current marketplace?
Before I answer that question, let me just come back to your comment about the coronavirus, because I think that again frames where we are today and the resilience of the network. So if you look at the huge uptick in volume of growth and connections during this last 3 to 4 months, it's a testament to the existing networks that they had that resilience and capacity to flex to meet the demand that we've seen. And I think that comes down to a lot of very thoughtful planning processes beforehand. Now to your question about what is our planning tool. So our planning tool has come around for a need to understand the different network topologies that are out there today. So whether we're talking to the large incumbents in the UK or the more focused regional players, they have different challenges that they have to meet. Everybody is driving to a cost base. That cost base is sometimes different, whether it be regional or national, and whether it need to be focused around small customer bases or large customer bases. But cost base is most important. We see our communication as one of the main needs of our life today. Beforehand, it was obviously light, water, and heat, and now communications is very much on that list. And sometimes you would see some of the younger generation seeing it higher up on the list to some of those key issues. So cost is important, but resilience and flexibility is key. So what we've done with our planning tool is that we've designed it in a way to look at all of the topologies that are currently being used and can be used in the UK, whether it be rural or city, whether it be dense fibre, MDU, multiple dwelling unit situations, or whether it be long reach down farm tracks. So there's never a question of one size fits all, whichever our customer is. It is the need to have a multiple topology architecture. And the planning tool takes the customer through the different elements that they need to include, the thinking behind those elements, and then all the way to the end of what would be the best products to be selected then to achieve that kind of network.
So of course, developing a network is a really complex process, and it kind of poses a lot of difficulties for things like AltNets, as well as your kind of more traditional operators. So in terms of the e-planner that you've developed, what was the kind of inspiration for bringing that forward?
So I think with the understanding that the challenges the AltNets find themselves with is to make the selection of the network, the topology, and then the products. And to do that in a way where they can scale quickly, but make investment decisions early on, which would stand the test of time. So if I give you a for instance, there are two ways to deploy a network. You can do it connectorized or you can do it spliced. Neither way is wrong, but they suit different environments. If you have a highly skilled workforce of labor, then obviously splicing is something that you can do with relative ease and skill and deployability. Connectorized has some drawbacks as far as a loss in the optical budget, but has huge opportunities to scale and deploy fastly. On top of that, if you have a hardened connectorized network, you can do that in a very de-skilled market situation. So again, being very flexible. But when you look down at the component parts of the network, you need to understand quite quickly what the cost of those components are, what the pros and cons that those products bring, and then how they can then flex back into your civil costs, your civil environment that you have, the skill sets that you have within your business, and then the goals of deployment that your business then needs to meet. So on day one, we tried to give both the planners, the managers within the department, and the commercial teams the ability to model different environments and come up with a clear cost model to show which works best from a total cost of ownership perspective.
So to go back to the connectivity environment right now, what do you consider to be the kind of biggest challenges for the AltNets, and what role do your network planning tools play in overcoming those challenges?
So the AltNets of coming into the marketplace, they're trying to attract key skills from an already overheated market, which drives them to have to make decisions based on a lot of vendor help and support. So we've brought the e-planning tool together to assist them with these decisions so that they can identify exactly the network topologies that they need and how best to deploy them. CommScope has got over 40 years experience in building those networks, not only across the UK, but across Europe and the rest of the world. So with that experience, we can understand the differing challenges that each AltNet may see in their region or their particular environment, whether that be skill shortages, whether that be geographical challenges, or whether it be straightforward understanding of which best networks to deploy to allow them to maximize their investment.
So I guess the last question is simply, how can the AltNets gain access to the planning tools?
Very straightforward. We've promoted it heavily on social media. You'll be able to find it on a link that will be provided here. We do ask you to register. The planning tool will be made available in a trial test version for you to have a look at. And then we would then like to then reach out, take each customer through that planning tool with an explanation and some guidance, and then we can then release the full version.
Perfect. Sounds really helpful. Well, thank you very much for your time, Geoff. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, and yourself.